So as all of you know, I'm a bookseller. I sell books. That's what I do. I manage a bookstore. That's what I do. However, sometimes I feel like I do other things more than I am a bookseller. For instance, y'all know how much I love Sherlock Holmes. I wear a little pin on my lanyard at work that says I am Sherlocked on it, because sometimes I feel more like a detective than a bookseller, because I have to know what the customer wants when they don't know it themselves. Other times, I actually am more of, you know, like a bartender, hairdresser, where people like to tell you their life story and their problems and all that kind of stuff. That's me sometimes. Probably not as much as somebody who tends bar or styles hair, but it happens a lot. Last night I was walking through one of the aisles and I saw this young Marine standing, kind of wandering around like he was trying to look for something but didn't want to ask for help. I was like, hey man, I was like, can I help you find something today? And he's just like, yeah, I'm looking for the 48 Laws of Power. And I was like, okay, we usually have that, let's go look it up. Now, the reason why I'm doing a video blog instead of just writing it down like I normally do is because that guy actually talked like that. And I mean, he was young, he was only like 18, 19. I mean, he looked pretty fresh in. But, so I lead him up to the computer, and I was like, oh, you know, okay, let's look it up. Oh, well, actually, we don't have this book in right now. We have some coming in. Can I put your name on one when it comes in? He's like, how long does that take? I was like, well, about 3 to 5 business days at the most. It's really hard to say. I said, you know, but that's how much time it usually takes. And he's like, I don't have that long to wait. I'm shipping out for 2 months. And I just need something to read to help pass the time and while I'm wrestling with my ideals. And I was like, okay, so could I recommend a different book to you? Then how about The Art of Seduction? And Art of Seduction and 48 Laws of Power are written by the same person. And basically they use historical examples, historical people, situations. He uses that to illustrate, well, in the 48 Laws of Power, to illustrate different people with power and why they were successful and why they weren't successful. And in The Art of Seduction, he does that with famous seducers. And actually, I do highly recommend this book to all y'all because it's really interesting, actually. I actually saw myself in a couple of the chapters and examples of different types of seducers. And it was great. Learned much more about myself than I knew. Anyway, so I recommended this to him and he goes, yeah, let's take a look. So I took him over to and it's actually right next to the sex section, the relationships, and so it was kind of awkward to have a conversation with this person in this section, but anyway, I went and grabbed the book and handed it to him, and he's just like flipping through, and I was like, you know, how about that? Is there anything else? He goes, well, I just need something to pass the time. And I was like, yeah, you mentioned that. But I was like, and he's like, yeah, the Marines, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's there to make me be the person I need to be. I was like, well, that's cool. I said, that's why a lot of people join it, you know, and I could tell he wanted me to ask him. He wanted me to ask him what he was on about. I knew he wanted me to. Some people do that. Some people will just tell you their whole life story without even you asking, and some people hint and then they spill it all. So I was like, hey, I bit, because it was dead in the store, and I really wanted to hear this guy's story because it's amusing. So I was like, hey man, what's wrong? And you know what, I thought, and I don't mean to be callous, I mean, he could have been going through a divorce or whatever, because you never know. People get some pretty young divorces in this town, so, but he's just like, well, I joined the Marine Corps, you know, to get those rules for myself, and I wanted to be upstanding and all this kind of stuff. He's like, but I joined to be the person I want to be. And I'm like, okay, yes, he said that. So he goes, and there was this girl. There is always a girl, by the way, always a girl. And he said, I wouldn't have joined if I, you know, had just had the balls to ask her and tell her that I loved her. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, I danced around it. You know, when I first saw her at prom, Prom. Anyway, this guy was definitely only like 19. He's like, oh, my buddy asked her to dance. And I looked at her, and I didn't just be jealous because he asked her to dance and I wasn't dancing with her. But I looked at her and went, that's the girl I'm gonna marry. And I was like, okay then. I was just like, okay, all right, cool. And I said, so you wanted to marry her? I was like, what happened? He says, I just sat silent for too long and she moved on and now it's too late. And I was like, okay. And I said to him, okay. I said, I'm gonna ask you a question, and if I'm overstepping my boundaries here because we don't really know each other, I mean, just let me know. I was like, but did you join the Marine Corps to be the person you thought she wanted you to be? Or did you join because of what you wanted you to be? And he hesitated, and I was like, of course. And he goes, no, it was for me. It was for me, but it's just that girl, she was up here, and I'm down here. And I want someday to be up here, even if it's too late. And I was like, again, I was like, dude, I said, here's the thing. I said, I understand that, and that really sucks. I said, but you should never, ever, ever be the person somebody else wants you to be. It's an age thing. You're young, you know, it's a young person thing to say. I said, you'll get older, and you know what? Some of us never learn. I make mistakes every day, but I told him, I was like, man, I said, countless people, I have lived my life for them, and I lived the way they wanted me to live because of what I thought was love, and I thought that was the right thing to do. I was like, man, I said, I'm getting divorced, and you know, it's been a year. I've learned a lot about myself in this last year, and that's just never a good thing to do. I told him that's my Dr. Phil advice. And he's just like, yeah, well, you know, thank you for the book. I think I'm gonna take it, and maybe it'll help me pass the time. I was like, okay, well, and then good luck, man. Good luck. I really hope things work out for you, and you know, maybe that wasn't the right one for you. I said, but man, you make a mistake, it's all a learning experience. I've missed out on a couple of really good opportunities because I waited too long to grab the balls. Basically, nut up or shut up. And this poor dude, he shut up instead of nutted up. But I've been there. Anyway, so I hand him the book or whatever, walk away, and I'm at customer service typing, and he kind of comes up and picks up, we had a display of Nicholas Sparks books in front of me. And I thought he was going to talk to me a little more, but he didn't. He just kind of like picks up the book and kind of rifles through solemnly. He was so melancholy. That's exactly melancholy. This poor dude. I was like, were you like this all the time? Anyway. Oh, and I forgot the best part. He was regaling me with the fact that he used to be a player, and this one girl made him want to stop being a player because that life is so empty. Great stuff. Comedy gold. So I'm watching him kind of out of the corner of my eye rifle through this Nicholas Sparks book, and he puts it down and he looks at me and goes, see that book I picked up right there? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I guess you could tell what frame of mind I'm in if I'm picking up that sort of book. And he walks away. He trudges away. And I kind of half expected him, because he kind of had like a Ron Burgundy-esque sort of vibe. I kind of half expected him to go, stay classy, Barnes & Noble. So anyway, that was my Dr. Phil moment with the poor cute little Marine that was so sad and wrestling with his life choices. Anyway, I thought, actually, there were a couple more weird ones last night, but that one was the most fun. Anyway.